I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News. The practice of hydraulic fracturing to get natural gas from shale is drawing more concern and more calls for regulation. Well, today, Cornell University researchers hosted legislative staffers and told them the central problem with hydrofracking is the question of contamination of water resources, and that issue is growing increasingly complex. Clean Skies' Dee Bombani is here to tell us more about what the researchers are saying. Dee.
That's right. Hydraulic fracturing is a growing practice among gas companies. It uses water, sand, and chemicals pumped underground under pressure to fracture shale. The shale then releases natural gas for energy. It's that water and other unidentified chemicals that has researchers at Cornell concerned. Today at the Capitol Visitor Center, they briefed legislative staffers on the issue at large about what's happening on the ground in New York State. The room was packed, if that's any indication of the growing interest in the fracking debate. Susan Riha, director of the New York State Water Resources Institute at Cornell, told Clean Skies more regulation is necessary at both the federal and state level to protect water resources and to deal with the waste associated with this growing practice.
Regulation of the chemicals used in hydrofracking should occur at the federal level. I think at the state level, the state could basically have a lot of say over where the drilling can occur, how far the setback should be, say, from public drinking water supplies, or whether we should be putting in gas wells in the New York City watershed. I think the states should have some say over where gas well drilling can occur within their areas.
Now, one interesting development is that gas companies have tested the idea of using propane or liquid nitrogen instead of water to frack. Now, that was done in the Susquehanna River Basin in New York, but those chemicals haven't proved successful because water, she said, is the best surfactant. Susan.
So, Dee, a lot of the critics they're talking about hydrofracking as a problem because of the possible contamination of drinking water. The natural gas companies say that is not a problem.
That's right. I mean, some say, why don't you just recycle the water? What's the big deal? Well, let's put this in a little bit of perspective. It takes about 3 million or more gallons of water to frack on a particular area, which is about 5 acres.
So it's the amount of water as well.
It's the amount of water. And when companies inject that water underground, they add chemicals to it. But that same water is pumped right back up. It doesn't just come out with the chemicals that were injected initially, but also some radioactive chemicals come out as well. So then the company has to figure out a way to scrub the water so that it can be put back into the watershed. And then what do you do with the solid waste that's scrubbed off that water? So it presents this enormous problem, and if you just multiply that, one well times hundreds of wells across the country, it becomes a larger issue.
Okay, so there's new legislation being proposed in the House and the Senate that would give the EPA more jurisdiction over fracking, and the president's budget for 2011 also involves an EPA study to even find out if there's a problem.
Right, exactly. And one of the things Riha said from Cornell, she said, look, EPA doesn't even know what's in the water. How can it determine whether or not the water is safe to drink? Well, EPA can't test every single well because companies are not required by any law to disclose the chemicals they use. There is promise in the FRAC Act. The FRAC Act, which was proposed in the House and in the Senate, would require these companies to disclose the chemicals, and it would put fracking under the Safe Drinking Water Act under the purview of the EPA.
Okay. Now, was the biggest focus here, because the Cornell researchers are from New York, was that the big focus of today's briefing, and what is happening in New York in light of this controversy?
Well, as you may know, there is a moratorium on fracking in the Marcellus Shale. But right now, the New York State, the energy officials in New York State have collected public comment. That period has ended. The state is trying to create an environmental impact study. So the public comment has come in, 14,000 comments have come in with concerns about drinking water, the changes in their community, etc. And once the state sifts through those, they can create an impact statement. And once that's created, the moratorium can possibly be lifted.
Okay, we'll keep following that. Dee Bombani, thanks. And I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News.